Centuries before the compass became a sailor's trusted guide, the ancient Chinese were already harnessing the mysterious pull of lodestones to navigate their world. These naturally magnetic rocks, known as the loving stones, were more than just tools. They were objects of wonder, sparking questions about the invisible forces that seemed to bind the earth and sky. But the story of magnetism doesn't begin or end with lodestones. From the Greeks to the Egyptians, ancient civilizations across the globe grappled with the mysteries of this unseen power, weaving it into their myths, rituals, and even their understanding of the cosmos. So, what did they truly know about magnetic forces? How did their discoveries shape their world? And could their ancient insights have laid the groundwork for the science we rely on today? In this video, we'll explore the fascinating history of magnetism, from its earliest discoveries to its profound cultural significance, and uncover the secrets that connect the ancient world to our modern understanding of this invisible force. Get ready to journey through time where science meets mystery, and the past reveals clues that still resonate today. Long before magnets powered our modern world, ancient China was already unlocking the secrets of magnetism. Around 206 BC, during the Han Dynasty, the mysterious properties of lodestones, naturally occurring magnetic rocks, were first documented. These stones, which seemed to possess an invisible force, were not just scientific curiosities. They held deep cultural and spiritual significance. The Chinese believed that magnetism was tied to the flow of Kai, the life force that permeates all things. This idea of harmony and balance was central to their philosophy, and lodestones became tools for divination, helping to align human actions with the natural order. Imagine the awe of holding a stone that could point toward the Earth's magnetic poles, a force unseen but undeniably powerful. This connection between the physical and the mystical made magnetism more than just a practical discovery. It was a bridge between the material and spiritual worlds. One of the most fascinating applications of these lodestones was the creation of the south-pointing spoon, an early form of the compass. Carved from lodestone and shaped like a spoon, this device was placed on a polished bronze plate where it would spin and settle, pointing south. This innovation wasn't just a clever gadget, it revolutionized navigation, allowing travelers and traders to find their way with unprecedented accuracy. The Book of the Devil Valley Master, an ancient text, describes this device as a marvel of both science and art, a testament to the ingenuity of the time. But the story of magnetism in ancient China doesn't end there. As knowledge of these magnetic wonders spread, so did their influence, reaching far beyond the borders of China and shaping the course of history. The journey of magnetism was just beginning. Long before the modern understanding of magnetism, the ancient Greeks were already grappling with its mysterious properties. Around 600 BC, a philosopher named Thales of Miletus became the first to document magnetic phenomena in writing. Thales observed something extraordinary. Certain stones, which we now call lodestones, had the ability to attract iron. This wasn't just a casual observation, it sparked one of the earliest scientific inquiries into the natural world. Thales didn't just stop at noting the effect. He theorized that these lodestones possessed a kind of soul, a living essence that gave them their unique power. While this idea might seem strange today, it was a revolutionary step toward explaining the unseen forces at work in the universe. Thales' fascination with magnetism didn't exist in isolation. Later Greek thinkers like Plato and Aristotle took his ideas and expanded on them. Plato, for instance, saw magnetism as evidence of a deeper cosmic order. He suggested that the attraction between lodestones and iron mirrored the invisible bonds that held the cosmos together. Aristotle, on the other hand, connected magnetism to his theories of motion and the elements, proposing that it was a natural force tied to the Earth itself. These thinkers didn't just see magnetism as a curiosity, they saw it as a key to unlocking the secrets of the universe. What's particularly fascinating is how these early ideas about magnetism were intertwined with philosophy and spirituality. For the Greeks, magnetism wasn't just a physical phenomenon, it was a gateway to understanding life, the soul, and the cosmos. As Aristotle once wrote, "The lodestone has a soul, for it has the power of moving iron." This blending of science and philosophy might seem unusual today, but it reflects how deeply interconnected their worldview was. So, how did these ideas spread beyond Greece, and how did other cultures interpret the strange and compelling properties of magnetism? The story of magnetism in the ancient world is far from over, and as we journey further, we'll see how these early Greek insights influenced thinkers across continents and centuries. The Romans, ever the pragmatic innovators, found fascinating ways to harness the mysterious power of magnetism in their daily lives. While they didn't fully understand the science behind it, they recognized its potential and put it to work in ways that blended the practical with the mystical. One of their most intriguing applications was in the realm of construction. Roman engineers, known for their ingenuity, used Lodestones' naturally magnetic rocks to align structures with precision. These stones acted as early compasses, helping builders orient temples and roads with remarkable accuracy, even if they didn't fully grasp the Earth's magnetic field as we do today. But magnetism didn't stop at construction sites. It found its way into the hands of Roman physicians who believed lodestones held healing properties. In their medical practices, these stones were often used in rituals to treat ailments like arthritis and headaches. The idea was that the magnetic force could draw out pain or illness from the body, a concept that wove together observation and superstition. To the Romans, magnetism wasn't just a physical phenomenon, it was a bridge between the natural and the magical, a force that could heal as much as it could mystify. This blend of practicality and myth is perhaps best captured in the writings of Pliny the Elder, one of Rome's most famous naturalists. In his monumental work, Natural History, Pliny dedicated entire passages to the wonders of magnetism. He described how lodestones could attract iron, noting their ability to pull metal from a distance. Yet, even Pliny couldn't resist adding a touch of the fantastical. He speculated that lodestones might have souls, imbuing them with a lifelike quality. His accounts reflect a fascinating mix of keen observation and imaginative storytelling, offering us a window into how the Romans viewed the natural world, a world where science and myth often walked hand in hand. Over time, these practical uses of magnetism began to evolve, especially as the Roman Empire expanded and exchanged knowledge with other cultures. The healing rituals that once relied on lodestones gradually gave way to more systematic approaches, while the construction techniques they inspired laid the groundwork for future innovations. What began as a blend of practicality and magic would eventually spark the curiosity of later civilizations, setting the stage for a deeper understanding of magnetism's true nature. The Romans may not have unlocked all its secrets, but their practical applications and imaginative interpretations paved the way for centuries of discovery. The Islamic Golden Age was a time of extraordinary intellectual flourishing, and it was during this period that scholars made some of the most significant strides in understanding magnetism. While the ancient Greeks and Chinese laid the groundwork, it was Islamic thinkers like Al-Kindi and al-Biruni who pushed the boundaries of knowledge, blending observation with scientific inquiry to explore the mysteries of magnetic forces. Al-Kindi, a polymath of the 9th century, was among the first to study lodestones systematically. These naturally magnetic rocks had fascinated people for centuries, but Al-Kindi took things further. He didn't just marvel at their ability to attract iron, he experimented with them, testing their properties and documenting his findings. His work laid the foundation for a more methodical approach to studying magnetism, setting the stage for later discoveries. Then there was Al-Biruni, a brilliant scientist of the 10th century, who took these investigations even further. Al-Biruni wasn't content with simply observing magnetic attraction. He wanted to explain it. He proposed that magnets had an inherent force, a kind of magnetic virtue, that allowed them to pull iron toward them. This idea might sound abstract to us now, but at the time it was groundbreaking. Al-Biruni was attempting to describe magnetism in scientific terms, moving beyond mere observation to theorize about its underlying principles. What's fascinating is how Al-Biruni's ideas influenced later European scholars. His theories traveled through the Islamic world and into medieval Europe, where they sparked new debates and experiments. In many ways, the work of Islamic scholars like Al-Biruni served as a bridge, connecting the ancient world's fragmented understanding of magnetism to the more systematic studies of the medieval and Renaissance periods. This era wasn't just about advancing science, it was about preserving and expanding the knowledge of earlier civilizations. Islamic scholars didn't just build on the work of the Greeks and Chinese, they refined it, questioned it, and added their own insights. Their contributions remind us that the story of magnetism isn't just a series of isolated discoveries. It's a continuous thread woven together by curious minds across centuries and cultures. As we move forward, we'll see how these early explorations set the stage for even greater breakthroughs, as medieval Europe began to unravel the secrets of magnetism in new and profound ways. But for now, let's take a moment to appreciate the Islamic Golden Age, a time when curiosity and collaboration opened doors to understanding the invisible forces that shape our world. As the ancient world's fascination with magnetism began to spread, it found a new home in medieval Europe, where it would spark a revolution in how humans navigated the unknown. In the 12th century, the magnetic compass made its way to Europe, likely through trade routes connecting the East and West. This simple yet groundbreaking tool, a magnetized needle floating on water, transformed the way sailors charted their courses. No longer were they solely reliant on the stars or the sun to guide them across treacherous seas. The compass gave them a reliable way to find direction, even under cloudy skies or during the darkest nights. Among those who sought to understand this mysterious force was Peter Peregrinus, a medieval scholar whose work on magnetism remains one of the earliest scientific treatises in Europe. In his writings, Peregrinus described how magnets attract and repel, how they align with the Earth's poles, and how they could be used in practical applications like the compass. His observations were remarkably ahead of their time, blending curiosity with careful experimentation. For medieval Europe, this wasn't just an academic exercise. It was a leap toward mastering the natural world in ways that would reshape society. The cultural and economic impact of the compass cannot be overstated. With more reliable navigation, trade routes expanded, connecting Europe to distant markets in Asia and Africa. Cities like Venice and Genoa flourished as hubs of commerce, their wealth built on the ability to safely transport goods across vast distances. The compass didn't just guide ships, it guided economies, cultures, and even the flow of ideas. It was a tool of exploration, but also a catalyst for globalization long before the term existed. And yet, as medieval Europe began to harness the power of magnetism, one can't help but wonder, how did these advancements set the stage for what was to come? The compass didn't just improve navigation, it ignited a curiosity about the world that would soon lead to the age of exploration. Sailors, armed with this newfound confidence, would push beyond known horizons, driven by both ambition and the magnetic pull of the unknown. What began as a tool for safer travel became a symbol of humanity's relentless drive to explore, discover, and connect. ancient India offers a fascinating glimpse into how magnetism was understood and utilized in both medicine and astronomy. In the world of Ayurveda, the traditional system of Indian medicine, Lodestones natural magnets were believed to possess unique healing properties. Practitioners used these stones to treat ailments, often placing them on specific points of the body to balance energy flows and restore health. This practice wasn't just about physical healing, it also reflected a deeper connection between the human body and the natural world. The lodestone, with its mysterious ability to attract iron, symbolized the invisible forces that governed life itself. But the influence of magnetism didn't stop there. Ancient Indian astronomers also recognized its significance, weaving it into their understanding of the cosmos. Texts like the Surya Siddhanta, a foundational work of Indian astronomy, contain references to magnetic forces, suggesting that early scholars saw a link between the behavior of lodestones and the movements of celestial bodies. They viewed magnetism as a cosmic force, one that mirrored the pull of planets and stars. This idea wasn't just theoretical, it shaped their approach to navigation, timekeeping, and even temple construction, where magnetic alignments were sometimes used to harmonize structures with the heavens. What's truly remarkable is how these ideas transcended borders. The concept of magnetism as a cosmic force wasn't unique to India. It echoed across other ancient civilizations from China to Greece. Each culture interpreted it through its own lens, but the underlying fascination with this invisible power was universal. This shared curiosity highlights how ancient societies, despite their differences, were united in their quest to understand the forces that shaped their world. Long before the invention of the magnetic compass, the Vikings were navigating vast stretches of open ocean, often under overcast skies that hid the sun and stars. How did they do it? One intriguing theory points to the use of a mysterious tool known as the Sunstone. These stones, possibly lodestones, were said to have the ability to reveal the sun's position even through dense cloud cover, acting as a natural compass for Viking sailors. But was this ancient technology real, or just a legend passed down through the ages? Archaeological evidence and historical accounts suggest there might be truth to the Sunstone's existence. In one notable Viking shipwreck discovered off the coast of Alderney, a small crystal was found that some researchers believe could have been used for navigation. This crystal, made of calcite, has properties that allow it to polarize light, potentially revealing the sun's location even when it's not visible to the naked eye. Combine this with references in medieval texts, and the case for the sunstone becomes harder to dismiss. But how exactly would a sunstone work? Scientists have debated this for decades. One theory suggests that by rotating a calcite crystal and observing the intensity of light passing through it, a navigator could determine the sun's position relative to the horizon. Another idea involves the use of lodestones, which could align with Earth's magnetic field, offering a rudimentary form of magnetic navigation. While these methods may seem primitive by today's standards, they represent an extraordinary leap in understanding natural forces for their time. The debate continues, with some experts arguing that the sunstone's effectiveness is overstated, while others point to its potential as a groundbreaking tool for ancient seafarers. What's clear is that the Vikings' ability to navigate treacherous waters with such limited technology speaks to their ingenuity and deep connection to the natural world. Their reliance on tools like the sunstone not only highlights their resourcefulness, but also laid the groundwork for the sophisticated navigational systems we use today. As we explore these ancient innovations, it's fascinating to consider how they influenced the development of modern technology. From the earliest magnetic compasses to today's GPS, the principles of navigation have evolved dramatically, yet they still owe a debt to the curiosity and experimentation of those who came before. The story of the Viking Sunstone reminds us that even the simplest tools can unlock profound discoveries, and that the pursuit of understanding the world around us is a timeless human endeavor. Ancient Egypt, a civilization renowned for its monumental architecture and intricate belief systems, offers a fascinating glimpse into how magnetism might have been understood, or at least utilized thousands of years ago. While the Egyptians didn't have the scientific framework we do today, evidence suggests they were aware of magnetic forces in ways that blended the practical with the mystical. One of the most intriguing examples lies in their use of lodestones, naturally magnetized pieces of iron ore. These stones weren't just curiosities, they were incorporated into jewelry like amulets and pendants, which may have been worn for their supposed protective or healing properties. Imagine wearing a necklace that subtly pulled toward the Earth's magnetic field, a phenomenon that likely seemed magical to those who didn't yet understand the science behind it. The symbolic role of magnetism in Egyptian culture goes even deeper. Some scholars argue that the alignment of the pyramids with magnetic north wasn't just a coincidence. The Great Pyramid of Giza, for instance, is remarkably precise in its orientation, sparking debates about whether the ancient Egyptians had knowledge of Earth's magnetic poles. Could they have used lodestones or other tools to achieve such accuracy? While there's no definitive proof, the idea raises compelling questions about the intersection of astronomy, spirituality, and early scientific inquiry in their society. For the Egyptians, the cosmos and the natural world were deeply intertwined, and magnetism may have been seen as a physical manifestation of divine forces. But it's important to separate myth from reality. While the Egyptians may have observed magnetic phenomena, their understanding was likely rooted in symbolism rather than empirical science. Lodestones, for example, were often associated with the god Horus, symbolizing protection and power. This blending of the practical and the spiritual reflects how ancient cultures often interpreted natural forces through the lens of their beliefs. They didn't need to fully grasp the mechanics of magnetism to recognize its significance. It was enough to see it as a mysterious force that connected the earthly and the divine. As we move beyond Egypt, it's worth noting how other ancient civilizations also grappled with the concept of magnetism. From the Greeks to the Chinese, each culture developed its own interpretations, shaped by their unique worldviews and technological advancements. This journey through the ancient world reveals not just a shared fascination with magnetic forces, but also the universal human desire to make sense of the unseen forces that shape our world. Ancient astronomers were far more attuned to the natural world than we often give them credit for. While they didn't fully understand the science of magnetism as we do today, they observed its effects and incorporated those observations into their study of the heavens. One of the most fascinating ways they did this was by using magnetic principles to track celestial movements. They noticed that certain stones, like lodestones, had a mysterious pull, aligning themselves in a consistent direction. This discovery wasn't just a curiosity, it became a tool for understanding the cosmos. Take the ancient Maya, for example. Their observatories and temples were often meticulously aligned with celestial events, like the rising and setting of Venus or the solstices. But what's even more intriguing is that some researchers believe they may have used magnetic materials to enhance these alignments. Lodestones, with their natural magnetic properties, could have been placed strategically to help pinpoint the exact positions of stars and planets. This wasn't just about building impressive structures, it was about creating a living map of the sky, grounded in the Earth's own magnetic forces. The Babylonians, too, were masters of celestial tracking. Their detailed records of planetary movements and eclipses were unparalleled in the ancient world. While they didn't leave behind explicit evidence of using magnetism in their astronomy, Their sophisticated understanding of patterns suggests they may have recognized the Earth's magnetic field as part of the larger cosmic order. Temples and ziggurats, often aligned with cardinal directions, could have been influenced by the same magnetic forces that guided their astronomical calculations. What's truly remarkable is how these ancient practices laid the groundwork for later scientific breakthroughs. The alignment of structures, the careful observation of magnetic phenomena, and the tracking of celestial bodies all contributed to a growing body of knowledge. Centuries later, when scientists like William Gilbert began to formally study magnetism in the 16th century, they were building on observations that had been made thousands of years earlier. The ancient world's intuitive grasp of magnetism and its connection to the cosmos wasn't just a footnote in history, it was a stepping stone to the scientific revolution. This interplay between magnetism and astronomy reveals a deeper truth about how ancient cultures saw the universe, as a unified system where the forces of the Earth and the movements of the heavens were inextricably linked. Their insights remind us that even without modern technology, they were able to uncover profound truths about the world around them, truths that continue to resonate in our understanding of science today. Ancient medicine is a fascinating realm where science, superstition, and spirituality often intertwined, and magnetism played a curious role in this mix. Across cultures, lodestones, those naturally magnetic rocks, were believed to hold incredible healing powers, but were these claims rooted in genuine scientific understanding, or were they simply products of ancient superstition? Let's explore how civilizations like the Greeks, Romans, and Chinese incorporated magnetism into their medical practices. In ancient Greece, the physician Hippocrates, often called the father of medicine, wrote about the therapeutic potential of lodestones. He suggested that these mysterious stones could draw out pain or illness from the body, acting almost like a physical magnet for disease. The Greeks believed that the body's health depended on a balance of fluids or humors, and lodestones were thought to help restore this balance. While this idea might sound far-fetched today, it reveals how early thinkers tried to make sense of the natural world using the tools and knowledge they had. The Romans, ever the practical innovators, took these ideas further. Pliny the Elder, a Roman naturalist, described lodestones as remedies for everything from headaches to joint pain. He even claimed that carrying a lodestone could prevent gout, a condition caused by the buildup of uric acid crystals in the joints. While we now know that magnetic fields can't dissolve crystals, the Romans' use of lodestones shows how magnetism became a symbol of hope and healing in ancient times. Meanwhile, in ancient China, magnetism was deeply tied to the concept of Qi, or life force energy. Chinese healers believed that lodestones could influence the flow of Qi within the body, aligning it with the Earth's natural magnetic field. This idea laid the groundwork for practices like acupuncture, where the placement of needles along energy meridians was thought to restore balance. Interestingly, the Chinese were also the first to use lodestones in navigation, showing how their understanding of magnetism bridged both practical and spiritual realms. But here's the big question: was there any real science behind these ancient claims? While lodestones can't cure diseases or dissolve crystals, modern research has explored whether magnetic fields might have subtle effects on the human body. Some studies suggest that weak magnetic fields could influence blood flow or nerve activity, though the evidence is far from conclusive. What's clear is that ancient healers were onto something, even if their explanations were rooted more in intuition than hard science. This brings us to the evolution of these practices into modern magnetic therapy. Today, you'll find magnetic bracelets, insoles, and even mattresses marketed as tools for pain relief and wellness. While some people swear by their effectiveness, the scientific community remains skeptical, calling for more rigorous studies. It's a fascinating continuation of an ancient tradition, blending old beliefs with new technologies. So, were the ancients right about magnetism's healing powers, or was it all just superstition? The truth likely lies somewhere in between, a blend of observation, imagination, and the timeless human desire to harness nature's mysteries for our benefit. Magnetism wasn't just a physical phenomenon to the ancient world. It was a gateway to understanding the universe itself. To philosophers of antiquity, the invisible pull of a lodestone was more than a curiosity. It was a sign of something greater, a force that connected the heavens and the earth. In the hands of thinkers from Greece, China, and India, magnetism became a metaphor for the harmony and attraction that governed all of existence. Take the Greek philosopher Thales of Miletus, for example. Around 600 BC, he became fascinated by lodestones, those mysterious rocks that could pull iron toward them. Thales didn't just see this as a scientific oddity, he saw it as evidence of a living, animate universe. To him, the lodestone's power was proof that even inanimate objects could possess a kind of soul, a spark of the divine. This idea of magnetism as a cosmic force would echo through Greek philosophy, with later thinkers like Plato and Aristotle weaving it into their theories about the natural world. Meanwhile, in ancient China, magnetism was tied to the concept of Kai, the vital energy that flows through all things. The Chinese saw the lodestone as a tool for aligning with the natural order, a symbol of balance and harmony. The earliest compasses, which used lodestones to point south, weren't just navigational tools, they were instruments of cosmic alignment, helping people find their place in the universe. This spiritual interpretation of magnetism was deeply rooted in Taoist philosophy, which emphasized the interconnectedness of all things. In India, magnetism was also seen as a manifestation of universal forces. The ancient texts of the Upanishads describe a world where everything is interconnected through unseen energies. Magnetism, with its ability to attract and repel, was seen as a physical expression of these energies, a tangible example of the invisible bonds that hold the cosmos together. Indian philosophers used magnetism as a metaphor for the attraction between the individual soul and the universal spirit, a concept that would later influence spiritual and scientific thought alike. These philosophical interpretations of magnetism weren't just poetic musings, they laid the groundwork for how humanity would later approach the study of natural forces. By seeing magnetism as a cosmic principle, these ancient thinkers opened the door to a deeper understanding of the universe. Their ideas about attraction, harmony, and interconnectedness would ripple through the centuries, influencing not only philosophy but also the development of science itself. And as we'll see, these early interpretations would eventually give way to a more systematic exploration of magnetism, one that would reshape our understanding of the world. As the Silk Road stretched across continents, it wasn't just silk, spices, and precious stones that moved along its winding paths. Ideas, innovations, and discoveries traveled too, including the ancient understanding of magnetism. Picture this: a Chinese merchant carrying a lodestone compass shares its secrets with a Persian scholar in a bustling caravanserai, or a European traveler marveling at the mysterious properties of these stones brings the knowledge back to his homeland. This was how magnetic knowledge spread, not in a single moment, but through countless interactions over centuries. The Chinese, who had been using lodestones for navigation and divination since at least 200 BC, were among the first to document and refine their understanding of magnetism. By the time of the Song dynasty, around the year 1000, they had developed sophisticated compasses for maritime navigation. These tools didn't stay confined to China for long. As merchants ventured west, they carried not only goods but also the technologies and ideas that would reshape the world. In the Middle East, scholars like Al-Idrisi and Al-Biruni studied these magnetic phenomena with great interest. They built upon Chinese knowledge, experimenting with lodestones and recording their findings in detailed texts. These works were later translated into Latin, making their way into European libraries and universities. It's fascinating to think about how a single concept like magnetism could bridge such vast cultural and geographical divides. This exchange wasn't just about trade or technology, it was a meeting of minds. Persian astronomers, Arab navigators, and European philosophers all contributed to the growing body of knowledge about magnetism. Each culture added its own perspective, enriching the global understanding of this invisible force. And while the Silk Road was a physical network of trade routes, it also became a metaphorical bridge connecting the intellectual worlds of East and West. By the time magnetic knowledge reached Europe, it had already been shaped by centuries of cross-cultural collaboration. This shared understanding laid the groundwork for future discoveries, like William Gilbert's groundbreaking work in the 16th century. But none of it would have been possible without the Silk Road, a testament to how ideas, once set in motion, can ripple across time and space, transforming the way we see the world. Magnetism wasn't just a scientific curiosity for the ancients, it was a source of wonder and inspiration that found its way into their art and symbolism. Across civilizations, lodestones and the mysterious forces they seemed to possess were woven into the fabric of culture, often appearing in religious iconography, talismans, and even everyday decorative objects. These artifacts weren't just beautiful, they carried deeper meanings, reflecting how people perceived the invisible power of magnetism. Take ancient Egypt, for example. The Egyptians were fascinated by the idea of unseen forces governing the natural world. Lodestones, with their ability to attract and repel, were sometimes depicted in hieroglyphs and amulets, symbolizing divine energy and protection. One notable example is the Ankh, a symbol of life, which some scholars believe might have been inspired by the uncanny properties of lodestones. The idea of something small yet powerful, holding the essence of life, resonated deeply with their spiritual beliefs. Moving to ancient Greece, magnetism took on a more philosophical tone. The Greeks saw lodestones as gifts from the gods, often associating them with figures like Zeus or Hermes, who were thought to wield invisible forces over the world. In art, lodestones appeared in scenes of divine intervention, often depicted as glowing or radiating energy. These representations weren't just artistic choices, they were a way to explain the unexplainable, bridging the gap between the physical and the metaphysical. In China, the connection between magnetism and culture was even more pronounced. The Chinese were among the first to use lodestones in practical ways, like the early compasses, but they also integrated them into their art and symbolism. Magnetic stones were carved into intricate talismans, believed to bring harmony and balance to their owners. In Taoist philosophy, the interplay of attraction and repulsion mirrored the dual forces of yin and yang, creating a visual language that connected magnetism to the very essence of the universe. These artistic and symbolic representations weren't just isolated expressions, they shaped how entire cultures understood magnetism. By embedding lodestones into religious artifacts, decorative objects, and philosophical teachings, ancient societies gave magnetism a place in their collective imagination. It wasn't just a natural phenomenon, it was a bridge between the seen and the unseen, the earthly and the divine. This cultural reverence for magnetism laid the groundwork for how future generations would approach its study, blending science with a sense of awe and mystery. Long before the modern era of electromagnets and quantum physics, ancient civilizations grappled with the mysteries of magnetism, often arriving at conclusions that were as fascinating as they were flawed. While their observations laid the groundwork for future discoveries, their understanding was inevitably shaped by the tools and methods available at the time. Without the precision instruments we take for granted today, their theories were often a mix of keen intuition and unavoidable misconceptions. Take, for instance, the ancient Greeks. They believed that magnets possessed a kind of soul or life force, a concept that might seem poetic but was far from scientific. This idea persisted for centuries, even influencing medieval thinkers who saw magnetism as evidence of a hidden, spiritual connection between objects. These theories were compelling in their own right, but they also reveal how limited technology and a lack of systematic experimentation could lead to enduring myths. One of the most persistent misconceptions was the belief that magnetic forces were tied to specific materials or geographic locations. Ancient Chinese texts, for example, described lodestones as having a unique connection to the Earth's poles, but they lacked the tools to explain why this attraction occurred. Similarly, early European scholars speculated that magnetism was a property exclusive to iron-rich minerals, unaware of the broader electromagnetic principles at play. These gaps in understanding weren't due to a lack of curiosity, they were the natural result of working within the constraints of their time. Despite these limitations, ancient thinkers made remarkable strides. They observed and recorded phenomena like magnetic attraction and repulsion, laying the foundation for future breakthroughs. But it wasn't until the Renaissance and the scientific revolution that these early ideas were challenged and refined. The invention of the compass, for instance, transformed magnetism from a philosophical curiosity into a practical tool, opening new avenues for exploration and discovery. As we look back, it's clear that the scientific limitations of the ancient world weren't failures, they were stepping stones. Each misconception, each theory that didn't quite hold up, pushed humanity closer to a deeper understanding of the forces shaping our world. And in the next chapter of this story, we'll see how these early struggles gave way to a new era of discovery, where the mysteries of magnetism finally began to unravel. The story of magnetism doesn't end with the ancient world. It's a thread that winds its way through history, connecting the past to the present in fascinating ways. While the ancients may not have fully understood the science behind magnetic forces, their observations and ideas planted the seeds for centuries of discovery. Fast forward to the late 16th century, and we meet William Gilbert, a man often called the father of modern magnetism. Gilbert was a physician, but his true passion lay in unraveling the mysteries of the natural world. Inspired by the works of ancient thinkers like Thales and Pliny, he took their ideas and pushed them further, conducting experiments that would change the way we see magnetism forever. Gilbert's groundbreaking work, De Magnete, published in 1600, was the first major scientific treatise on magnetism. He systematically studied lodestones, the naturally magnetic rocks that fascinated the ancients, and even coined the term magnetic pole. But what's truly remarkable is how Gilbert built on the foundation laid by early civilizations. He didn't dismiss their ideas as mere superstition, he saw them as stepping stones. For example, the ancient Chinese belief in the south-pointing spoon found new life in Gilbert's experiments with compasses, leading to a deeper understanding of Earth's magnetic field. The legacy of ancient magnetism isn't just about the past, it's about how those early insights continue to shape our world today. From the magnetic compass that guided explorers across uncharted seas to the MRI machines that revolutionized modern medicine, the echoes of ancient discoveries are everywhere. Even now, scientists draw inspiration from the way early cultures observed and interacted with magnetic forces. It's a reminder that progress isn't just about new ideas, it's about building on the wisdom of those who came before us. And as we look to the future, who knows what modern innovations might trace their roots back to the curious minds of the ancient world. Ancient warfare was not just about brute strength or sheer numbers. It was also a game of strategy, ingenuity, and sometimes even a touch of science. One of the most fascinating aspects of this was the use of magnetism, a force that gave certain armies a surprising edge on the battlefield. While we often think of magnetism in terms of modern technology, its roots in warfare stretch back thousands of years, shaping the way armies moved, fought, and outsmarted their enemies. Take, for instance, the Chinese military during the Han Dynasty. They didn't just rely on swords and shields, they harnessed the power of lodestones, naturally magnetic rocks, to create some of the earliest compasses. These magnetic tools were revolutionary for navigation, allowing armies to traverse unfamiliar terrain with confidence. Imagine trying to march through dense forests or cross vast deserts without getting lost. Magnetic compasses made that possible, giving Chinese forces a strategic advantage in positioning and surprise attacks. But magnetism didn't stop at navigation. The Romans, known for their engineering prowess, also experimented with magnetic forces in siege warfare. Some historical accounts suggest that lodestones were used in siege engines, possibly to destabilize or disrupt enemy fortifications. While the details remain shrouded in mystery, the idea of using magnetism as a weapon highlights the creativity of ancient military minds. Could a lodestone have been the ancient equivalent of a modern disruptor? It's a tantalizing thought. What's truly remarkable is how these early magnetic tools evolved over time. From simple compasses guiding armies through uncharted lands to more complex applications in siege tactics, magnetism became a silent ally in the art of war. But how did these innovations spread, and what other civilizations might have adopted similar techniques? The story of magnetism in warfare is far from over. It's a thread that weaves through history, connecting ancient strategies to the technologies we rely on today. Lodestones weren't just fascinating objects of the natural world, they carried profound cultural and symbolic weight in ancient societies. Across civilizations, these magnetic stones were seen as far more than mere curiosities. They were imbued with meanings that resonated deeply with human fears, aspirations, and beliefs about the unseen forces shaping their lives. In ancient China, lodestones were closely tied to the concept of harmony and balance. The Chinese saw them as a manifestation of the natural order, a physical representation of the forces that govern the universe. They were often associated with the emperor, symbolizing his divine right to rule and his connection to the heavens. Some Chinese texts even describe lodestones being used in rituals to align sacred spaces, ensuring they were in harmony with the cosmos. This belief in their power extended to their use in early compasses, which weren't just tools for navigation but also instruments of spiritual guidance. The Greeks, on the other hand, saw lodestones through a lens of mysticism and wonder. They believed these stones were gifts from the gods, particularly from the Titan Prometheus, who was said to have brought fire and perhaps magnetism to humanity. Lodestones were thought to possess protective qualities, capable of warding off evil spirits or even curing ailments. Greek sailors often carried them as talismans, trusting in their ability to guide ships safely through treacherous waters. This blend of practicality and spirituality reveals how deeply intertwined the material and the mystical were in Greek thought. In ancient Egypt, lodestones were linked to the divine favor of the gods. They were sometimes placed in tombs, believed to help guide the souls of the deceased to the afterlife. The Egyptians saw magnetism as a metaphor for attraction, not just physical but spiritual. The lodestone's ability to draw iron to itself was seen as a symbol of the gods' power to draw humanity closer to them. This idea of divine magnetism permeated their religious practices, reinforcing the belief that the gods were always present, pulling people toward their will. These cultural interpretations of lodestones didn't just fade away with time, they left a lasting imprint on later traditions. Medieval European alchemists, for example, drew on ancient beliefs about lodestones when exploring the properties of magnetism, seeing it as a key to unlocking the secrets of the universe. Even today, the symbolism of magnetism, of attraction, alignment, and unseen forces continues to echo in our language and metaphors, a testament to how deeply these ancient ideas have shaped our collective imagination. The Lodestones' journey from a mysterious natural phenomenon to a cultural symbol reminds us that the ancient world wasn't just observing the physical world, it was interpreting it, weaving stories and meanings into the fabric of everyday life. And in doing so, it gave us a glimpse into how our ancestors understood the forces that bind the universe together. Now, let's step into a world where the mysterious pull of magnetism wasn't just a force of nature, it was a bridge to the divine. Across ancient cultures, lodestones, those naturally magnetic rocks, held a sacred significance. They weren't merely objects of curiosity, they were tools for connecting with the spiritual realm. Imagine a shaman in a dimly lit tent holding a lodestone aloft, its invisible force guiding their hand as they sought answers from the unseen. Or picture a temple priest in ancient China, carefully placing a lodestone on an altar, believing its magnetic pull could align the energies of the cosmos. These rituals weren't just symbolic, they were deeply rooted in the belief that magnetism held a power beyond the physical world. In many traditions, lodestones played a central role in divination, the practice of seeking knowledge of the future or the unknown. Shamans and spiritual leaders would use these stones to interpret signs, often attributing their movements to messages from the gods. For instance, in some Native American tribes, lodestones were used in healing ceremonies where their magnetic properties were thought to draw out illness or negative energy from the body. Similarly, in ancient Greece, lodestones were sometimes incorporated into oracles where their mysterious pull was seen as a conduit for divine wisdom. But it wasn't just about predicting the future or healing the sick. Lodestones also symbolized a connection to the heavens. In Chinese spirituality, the lodestone's ability to align with the Earth's magnetic field was seen as a reflection of harmony between the human and celestial realms. Temples often housed these stones as sacred objects, with priests using them to perform rituals that sought to maintain cosmic balance. This belief in the stone's divine alignment even influenced the development of the compass, which initially served both navigational and spiritual purposes. These rituals didn't just shape individual practices, they shaped entire cultures. The reverence for lodestones as objects of power and mystery influenced how people understood magnetism itself. It wasn't just a physical phenomenon, it was a force intertwined with the sacred, a reminder that the natural world was full of unseen connections and energies. This cultural attitude laid the groundwork for how later societies would explore and explain magnetism, blending the spiritual with the scientific in ways that still echo today. And as we'll see next, these ancient beliefs didn't just stay confined to rituals, they began to influence early scientific thought in fascinating ways. Long before the scientific method gave us a clear understanding of magnetism, alchemists were already captivated by its mysterious power. These early thinkers saw the lodestone, a naturally magnetic rock, as far more than a curious object. To them, it was a symbol of nature's hidden forces, a tool that could unlock the secrets of the universe. Alchemy wasn't just about turning lead into gold, it was a quest to understand the fundamental principles that govern the world. And magnetism, with its invisible pull and seemingly magical properties, fit perfectly into this grand pursuit. One of the most influential figures in this realm was Paracelsus, a Swiss alchemist and physician of the 16th century. Paracelsus believed that magnetism was a vital force, a kind of invisible energy that connected all things in nature. He saw lodestones as more than just rocks. They were conduits of this universal energy, capable of healing, influencing, and even communicating with the human body. His ideas might sound fantastical today, but they reflected a deep curiosity about the natural world and a desire to harness its mysteries. Paracelsus and others like him laid the groundwork for later scientific inquiry, even if their methods were rooted in symbolism and speculation. But how did these alchemical ideas shape the early days of science? While alchemy and modern science may seem worlds apart, they share a common thread: the drive to understand and manipulate the forces of nature. Alchemists' fascination with magnetism paved the way for later thinkers to explore its properties more systematically. Their speculative theories, though often wrong, sparked questions that would eventually lead to breakthroughs. In a way, the alchemists' belief in the lodestone as a key to nature's secrets wasn't entirely misguided. It just took a few centuries for science to catch up and reveal the true nature of magnetic forces. This blending of alchemy and early scientific thought raises an intriguing question. How much of our modern understanding of magnetism can we trace back to these ancient and medieval ideas? While the methods and conclusions of alchemists were far from precise, their sense of wonder and their willingness to explore the unknown set the stage for the scientific revolution. The lodestone, once seen as a mystical object, became a cornerstone of physics, but it all began with a spark of curiosity in the minds of those who sought to understand the unseen forces at work in the world. Ancient civilizations may not have had the tools or terminology we use today, but their understanding of magnetic forces laid the groundwork for some of the most transformative discoveries in human history. Think about the compass, for instance, a device that revolutionized navigation and exploration. This simple yet profound invention traces its roots back to the ancient Chinese, who observed the mysterious behavior of lodestones and harnessed their properties to guide sailors across vast, uncharted waters. Without their early insights, the age of exploration as we know it might never have unfolded. But the legacy of ancient magnetic knowledge goes far beyond the compass. These early observations planted the seeds for the study of electromagnetism, a field that would later give us electricity, motors, and even modern communication technologies. It's fascinating to consider how a curiosity about naturally magnetic rocks could eventually lead to the creation of something as complex as the Internet. In many ways, the ancients were the first pioneers of a scientific journey that continues to shape our world today. Yet, their contributions are often overlooked or underappreciated. This is why preserving and studying ancient texts and artifacts is so vital. These records are more than just historical curiosities. They're windows into the minds of people who, centuries ago, were grappling with the same forces of nature that captivate us today. By revisiting their work, we not only honor their ingenuity but also uncover clues that could inspire new breakthroughs. After all, who knows what other ancient secrets might still be waiting to be rediscovered? And that raises an intriguing question: what mysteries about magnetism remain unsolved? Even with all our modern technology, there are still aspects of this force that elude our understanding. Could ancient texts hold subtle hints or observations that we've yet to fully decode? The pursuit of these answers isn't just about solving puzzles. It's about connecting the dots between past and present, showing us how the quest for knowledge is a timeless human endeavor. Ancient sailors faced a daunting challenge, navigating vast, uncharted waters without the technology we take for granted today. But hidden in the Earth's natural magnetic field was a secret that would change everything. Long before the compass became a staple of maritime exploration, early civilizations began to unlock the mysteries of magnetism. The Chinese were among the first to harness this force, using a simple yet revolutionary tool known as the south-pointing spoon. This early precursor to the compass, made from lodestone, a naturally magnetic mineral, could align itself with the Earth's magnetic poles, providing a reliable guide even in the most treacherous conditions. As maritime trade routes expanded, the compass evolved. By the time of the Song dynasty in China, around the 11th century, the magnetic needle compass had become a cornerstone of navigation. Sailors could now venture farther from shore with confidence, no longer solely reliant on the stars or landmarks. This innovation didn't stay confined to China for long. Arab traders, known for their extensive networks across the Indian Ocean, quickly adopted and refined the compass, integrating it into their own sophisticated navigational practices. Their expertise in celestial navigation combined with the precision of the compass allowed them to dominate trade routes between Asia, Africa, and Europe. In Europe, the compass arrived during the Middle Ages, sparking a new era of exploration. Imagine the thrill of sailors setting out across the Atlantic, no longer fearing they'd lose their way in the endless expanse. The compass became a symbol of hope and possibility, enabling explorers like Christopher Columbus and Vasco da Gama to chart new courses and connect distant continents. Without this magnetic marvel, the age of exploration might never have reached its full potential. But the compass didn't just change how people traveled, it transformed the world itself. Global trade flourished as merchants and explorers could now reliably navigate between ports, exchanging goods, ideas, and cultures on an unprecedented scale. Silk, spices, and treasures flowed across oceans, linking civilizations in ways that shaped the course of history. The humble compass, born from an ancient understanding of magnetism, became the key to unlocking a more interconnected world. Now, let's shift our focus to something that might surprise you: how ancient civilizations may have harnessed the power of magnetism in their architectural marvels. For centuries, people have marveled at the precision and ingenuity of structures like the Egyptian pyramids and Greek temples. But what if these ancient builders weren't just skilled engineers? What if they also understood something about the Earth's magnetic forces? One intriguing theory suggests that certain ancient structures were deliberately aligned with magnetic north. Take the Great Pyramid of Giza, for example. Its sides are almost perfectly oriented to the cardinal directions north, south, east, and west. How did the ancient Egyptians achieve such accuracy without modern tools? Some researchers propose that they might have used lodestones, natural magnets, to detect the Earth's magnetic field. By aligning their structures with these forces, they could have created buildings that were not only geometrically precise but also symbolically connected to the cosmos. The Greeks, too, seem to have a fascination with magnetism in their architecture. The Temple of Apollo at Delphi, for instance, is said to have been built with an awareness of natural forces. Some believe the temple's layout and orientation were influenced by ley lines, hypothetical alignments of sacred sites that some think are connected to Earth's magnetic grid. Whether or not these theories hold up, it's clear that magnetism played a role, even if only symbolically, in how ancient cultures thought about their relationship with the natural world. But the influence of these ancient techniques didn't stop there. The idea of aligning buildings with natural forces carried over into later architectural styles. Medieval cathedrals, for example, often faced east toward the rising sun, a tradition that may have roots in earlier magnetic practices. Even today, architects sometimes consider Earth's magnetic field when designing structures, though now it's more about functionality than symbolism. So, while we may never know for sure how much ancient builders truly understood about magnetism, their ability to align structures with such precision remains a testament to their ingenuity. It's a reminder that even thousands of years ago, humans were deeply attuned to the forces of the natural world, weaving them into the very fabric of their architecture. And perhaps in doing so, they left us a legacy that continues to inspire wonder and curiosity. Magnetism wasn't just a mysterious force to the ancient world. It was a powerful symbol woven into the very fabric of their stories and beliefs. Across cultures, from Greece to India to China, magnets and their strange pull became metaphors for some of life's most profound mysteries: love, destiny, and the invisible threads that bind the universe together. Take Greek mythology, for example. In the tale of the legendary Lodestone, it wasn't just a rock that attracted iron. It was a symbol of irresistible attraction, often linked to the magnetic pull of love. The Greeks saw this force as a reflection of Eros, the god of love, whose arrows could draw people together with an unbreakable bond. It's fascinating to think how they interpreted the physical phenomenon of magnetism as something deeply emotional, even divine. In ancient Indian literature, magnetism took on a more cosmic significance. Texts like the Upanishads describe the universe as a vast, interconnected web, with magnetism serving as a metaphor for the unseen forces that hold everything in balance. The idea of attraction wasn't limited to physical objects. It symbolized the cosmic order, the way all things are drawn to their rightful place in the grand design. Similarly, in Chinese philosophy, the concept of Kai, or life force, was often compared to magnetic energy. The ancient Chinese believed that just as a magnet could influence metal, Kai could flow through the world, connecting all living things in an intricate dance of harmony and balance. But perhaps the most enduring symbol of magnetism in ancient literature is its association with fate. In many stories, the pull of a magnet was seen as a metaphor for destiny, an invisible force guiding lives and events toward a predetermined end. This idea resonates even today, doesn't it? We still speak of being drawn to certain people or paths as if some unseen force is at work. The ancient world's fascination with magnetism wasn't just about understanding the physical world, it was about grappling with the mysteries of existence itself. And in their myths and poems, they found a way to make sense of those mysteries, using the magnet as a lens to explore the deepest questions of life. As we reflect on these ancient stories, it's striking how their symbolism still feels relevant. The magnetic pull of love, the cosmic order, the guiding hand of fate, these are themes that continue to captivate us, even in our modern scientific age. Perhaps that's the true power of magnetism, not just its ability to attract metal, but its ability to inspire wonder and imagination across centuries. And as we uncover more about the ancient world's understanding of this force, we're reminded that some mysteries, whether physical or metaphorical, are timeless. One of the most exciting aspects of studying ancient magnetic knowledge is that we're still uncovering new pieces of the puzzle. Archaeologists and historians are constantly pushing the boundaries of what we know, using cutting-edge technology to reveal secrets that have been hidden for centuries. Recent discoveries, like magnetic anomalies in ancient pottery or the alignment of sacred sites with Earth's magnetic field, are reshaping our understanding of how early civilizations interacted with these invisible forces. These findings aren't just curiosities, they're windows into the ingenuity of the past. Take, for example, a recent study that analyzed fragments of pottery from ancient China. Researchers found evidence that artisans may have used magnetic tools to create intricate designs, suggesting a level of sophistication we hadn't previously attributed to that era. This discovery not only highlights the creativity of ancient craftsmen, but also raises questions about how widespread this knowledge might have been. Were other cultures experimenting with magnetism in similar ways? And if so, what might we learn from their techniques? But it's not just about looking backward. The insights we gain from ancient magnetic research have the potential to inspire modern innovations. By understanding how early societies harnessed natural forces, we can explore new ways to apply those principles today. Could ancient methods of aligning structures with magnetic fields inform future architectural designs? Might the way early cultures used lodestones lead to breakthroughs in renewable energy or navigation technology? The possibilities are as fascinating as they are endless. As we continue to explore these ancient mysteries, one thing is clear: the past still has much to teach us. Every artifact, every discovery brings us closer to unraveling the full story of how humanity first encountered and began to understand the forces that shape our world. And as we piece together this history, we're not just uncovering the past, we're shaping the future. Throughout history, humanity's journey to understand the invisible forces of magnetism has been nothing short of extraordinary. From the ancient Chinese who first harnessed the mysterious pull of lodestones to the Greeks who pondered the very essence of attraction and repulsion, our ancestors laid the groundwork for the scientific marvels we take for granted today. These early discoveries weren't just about understanding the physical world, they were about unlocking the secrets of the universe itself. The Chinese, with their ingenious use of lodestones in navigation, showed us how magnetism could guide explorers across vast oceans. Meanwhile, Greek thinkers like Thales and Plato delved into the philosophical underpinnings of magnetic forces, asking questions that would echo through the centuries. Their ideas, though not always scientifically precise, sparked a curiosity that would eventually lead to breakthroughs in physics, technology, and even medicine. What's truly remarkable is how these ancient insights continue to resonate today. Magnetism isn't just a scientific phenomenon, it's a bridge between the past and the present, connecting us to the ingenuity of those who came before. And yet, for all we've learned, there's still so much we don't know. What other secrets about magnetism did ancient civilizations uncover that have since been lost to time? Could there be forgotten technologies or theories waiting to be rediscovered? As we reflect on the enduring fascination with magnetism, it's impossible not to wonder what else lies hidden in the annals of history. Perhaps you've come across an intriguing story or theory about ancient magnetism that hasn't been fully explored. If so, share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your ideas and theories. And if you're as captivated by these historical mysteries as we are, don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the fascinating intersections of science, history, and human curiosity. Together, let's keep uncovering the secrets of our past and shaping the discoveries of our future.